Louise was home alone one night waiting for her husband, Michael, to come home from work. She was getting rather frustrated because he had got stuck in a traffic jam, and she hated sleeping when she was the only one in the house due to some past experiences with break-ins, so she was forced to stay awake. When it got to roughly 10 p.m., she called her husband again to see if there was any progress in advancing through the traffic, but to her dismay, there was none. This is when Louise decided to record a short video explaining the situation to her friends to gain comfort from them, but roughly halfway through this happened.
Don't like it. Don't fucking wake up. I hate it. Fucking bollocks. Fucking bollocks.
For some reason, the bottle of alcohol had a mind of its own and decided to start shaking on the table. Despite being scared, at first Louise was not frightened enough to flee the scene, but immediately after the bottle collapsed, she was certain that some form of entity was messing with it. She fled the house and visited her mother before sending the clip to Michael. He posted it online. Most people tend to be fearful and cowardly when it comes to encountering a spirit, but the man in the following video was the complete opposite and took absolute control of the situation. He was relaxing in his living room one day as calm as he could be and had just finished eating dinner when suddenly he noticed something. An item on the table besides him had supposedly moved on its own accord. Instead of being a coward and running away from the scene though, he filmed this.
Do it again. Move it again. Holy shit. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Holy shit. Fucking camera too. Move it again. There can't be that fucking quick thing. Freaked out.
As I said, this man was not a coward and took the complete amount of control in this scenario. He asked the ghost in a commanding voice to do it again several times, and to his fortune, the spirit listened. It goes to show that the way you carry both yourself and your voice makes a huge difference on how you are treated, even when it comes to ghosts. In the following video, Kyle, a student fresh into university and new to the living alone lifestyle, was relaxing in his flat when he started to hear some screams. When I say a scream, I mean the loudest and most excruciating scream you can imagine, and it terrified him. At first it sounded like the sound was coming from the outside out of concern. Kyle went to the window, and if he saw anything suspicious, he was going to call the police. Little did he know that he was about to find out that the noises were coming from within his own four walls.
No, I swear to God, there was like some...
Shit! What the f*** is that? What the f*** is that? Dude! You gotta be kidding me! Who goes there? Who goes there? That shit cannot be real. What the f***? You gotta be kidding me. What the f*** was that? You gotta be kidding me. Oh, You gotta be messing with me. I swear to God, this gotta be a joke. Whoever's in here, I command you to leave in the name of Jesus Christ. I ask you to leave now. Oh, I got adrenaline going right through my body. What the is that? Ah, shit! Shit! What the who goes there? You gotta be kidding me. Wasn't this shit close? Oh, oh shit. What the is that? Guys, you gotta be kidding me. Oh shit! What's the fucking thing? Oh, I'm getting a headache badly. I'm getting a fucking headache badly. Oh, ah, shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! You gotta be kidding me! Oh shit! No!
There is absolutely no word out there that would accurately describe how confused Kyle was by this event, because no matter where he looked in his house, the screaming girl could not be found. When he went into a certain room, it sounded as if she was right next to him, but of course, this was not the case. Around 10 minutes after the screaming stopped, the police arrived at Kyle's apartment and conducted a full search because all of his neighbors had reported it in fear that Kyle was harming people. But after showing them the video, they believed that he was innocent. But this was not the end. Kyle went about a week with nothing happening inside of his home, and he was starting to believe that the event was just a one-time phenomenon that he would be able to forget about and move on from. This was nothing but a wish though, because after this peaceful week, the poltergeist made another appearance.
What the Oh What the What the Alexa! Stop the music! Alexa, stop! What the In the name of Jesus Christ, I ask you to leave this house right now. What the Who goes there? Somebody's in there, you better come out right now. I got a knife on me right now. Come out right now. Oh! In the name of Jesus Christ. I ask you to come out. Who's in here? Who's in here right now? You better come out.
This time, some demented laughter was used to lure Kyle into the screaming, and the neighbors were once again concerned. This time, the police gathered all sorts of evidence to try and prove that Kyle had done something evil to a woman that night. But no matter how much they scrounged the building, nothing was found. It is reassuring knowing that the forces cared this much, and equally as good that Kyle was not falsely prosecuted. On November the 30th of 2020, during the coronavirus pandemic, everybody was home alone, doing their own thing. The majority of people were completing their work from laptops or rotting away on their gaming consoles, but not Austin. In fact, he was rather bored. He was retired, so he had no job, and he knew about as much when it came to technology as you know about the engine of a Fiat 500, my point being nothing. However, he knew how to record, and that skill came in handy when something mysterious started happening inside of his house. The cupboard opened and closed continuously, and using his brain power, Austin knew to record the cupboard to make it evident that nothing was making this happen. He did a good job at this, and you would be a fool to claim that a visible force was acting upon this object, so that leaves one solution that you all know. This was a paranormal encounter. Austin sent the video to his family group chat, and it was posted to social media by one of his relatives. We have no updates, so all we can do is hope that Austin is okay. One thing that comes with social media is trends, and these things can go from harmless dances such as the Renegade to deadly and manipulative games like Blue Whale. Well, what if I told you that there was a small-scale trend on the internet called The Sky is Blue, and here is how it goes. It is a paranormal game where the person playing is supposed to recite the words to a poem and then pan the camera into a doorway. It was supposed that after panning into the doorway, you would see a face, whether it be clear or a faint image. And one day, a woman wanted to test that. This is how that went.
The sky is blue, and I see you. 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 The sky is blue, and I see you.
It took several attempts, and we have to admire how courageous she was for doing this. Her persistence must also be mentioned, because despite failing several times, she kept reciting the final lines of the poem. At the final doorway, something fell from the roof, and this not only frightened, but confused the woman. The trend was supposed to reveal a face, and not just a paranormal event, so it made no sense as to why the real thing didn't happen. But I guess life has many mysteries, and this is just one of them. Mark and Sarah both lived in a small house together and were finally in the stage of life that they wanted to be in. Sarah was pregnant with their first child. Mark had proposed to her, and they were both earning incomes, which made them more than stable when combined. It was the life they had both dreamed of having together, until they realized their rented house was likely haunted. Day in and day out, they would hear mysterious noises, and whenever they went to investigate, something would be different in the room, such as a misplaced ornament. Well, this time, something different happened when Mark went to investigate, and he was lucky enough to catch it on his camera.
I heard the noise again from back here. I heard the noise again from back here. Holy shit.
What? What is it?
Sarah, come look at this.
What?
Look at this. Look at the
The kitchen drawer slowly opened, and it was clear that nothing made this happen. Mark called Sarah to let her know what had happened, and she was really freaked out with the fact that something actually moved in front of his very own eyes. They needed to get out of this place, and it needed to be soon. Now, you've all heard of the term baby steps, right? It's when you take something one small step at a time, and after a long period, the progress will have gone far. However, have you heard of the term ladder steps? No, because it doesn't exist. That would be a silly saying. because ladders aren't able to walk as they're not human, right? Well, this roadside construction worker proved this statement incorrect when his ladder made a run for it. It may have walked away at the speed of a snail, but a walking ladder is insane nonetheless. The worker who captured this uses it as a claim to fame and tells the story to every new ally that he comes across. It is safe to say that he was relieved rather than terrified by the incident. For the final clip, we are delving back into the ghost hunts of the star of the show on this channel, Ian, also known as the Midwest Ghost Hunter. Ian has been hunting spirits for several years now, and calling him a professional in this field would be an understatement. The following video took place in a haunted manor local to his house that he thought he might as well visit for some content. His expectations of the manor were low, but due to it being such a nearby location, there would be no loss in visiting. It turned out to be the right decision, considering his goal was to be haunted.
Come towards you, okay? Whoa. I'm hearing like tapping sounds on the wall. Is that you, Susie? She literally just tapped on one of these coloring pages. It was like this. It was one of those. Susie, I heard you really like coloring. Is that true? If so, could you move one of these coloring pages? I see you got a whole coloring book here too. Is this your favorite color book? Oh my god! Oh my god! She just flipped the page! What the What did I just witness? She literally just flipped the page on that color book. I cannot believe what I just seen. I cannot believe that. Susie, did you just flip this page? Are these your favorite? Your favorite pages? I have got goosebumps on my goosebumps. Could you flip to another page? I'd like to see what else is in here.
It was clear that Susie's favorite coloring book was in fact that one, and she moved it in order to convey this. Now, unlike most spirits that have the intention of causing torment and suffering, for some reason, Susie seemed to just want company and taught Ian things about herself. This was on the least scary side of his encounters for certain. In the following video, a young girl by the name of Sabrina was in her room doing regular things when some really weird things began to happen. Out of panic, she ran out of the room to the living room where the rest of her family were. But shortly after, she decided to go back and investigate with her phone. What she managed to film was very freaky. First of all, if you paid close attention, you would have noticed that the door opened without any form of interaction from Sabrina, which was very weird. This was nothing in comparison to what actually happened in the room though. From falling books to closing wardrobes, everything paranormal went down in there, and we can only hope that Sabrina managed to get out okay. On December the 5th of 2011, Ricky Squire was filming an innocent video for the boys' group chat. Everybody in the chat decided to show off some of their coolest possessions, and it happened to be Ricky's turn, so he was walking around recording show-off worthy things. One of these things happened to be his truck, which was an impressive thing to own at the age of Ricky at the time. It was while he was introducing this truck to his video though that the unexpected happened, and fortunately, he did not stop the recording.
There's my truck. I fucking need to sell that fucking thing. Brandon don't want to sell it though. I don't know what the fuck for. Shit. Bailey! What the? Bailey! What the f***? What the?
Somehow, the chair in the kitchen moved on its own accord, and it was very clear that there were no strings or other interfering items in the area. As if this was not enough to scare the living daylight out of Ricky, the spirit also opened the refrigerator door, and based on the reaction it got from Ricky, it certainly did the job of provoking fear. Losing the life of a loved one is a very sad time for anybody, and the feeling is the same when you lose a pet. The man in the following video had owned a dog for several years now, and he just could not picture a life without the pet until it left him. 3 days prior to this ghostly encounter, the dog was unfortunately put down due to its illness, and whilst it was the best that they could do for the hound, it broke the family's heart regardless. You know what they say when you lose a loved one though? They will always be with you in your heart. Well, that was the case for this family.
Hey! Hey!
One thing that the dog used to always enjoy doing was opening and closing the door to his crate, and none of them knew why. At the time, the man behind the camera did not realize the connection between what was happening to the crate and the passing of his dog. But after the realization hit him, he knew that it was his long-serving pet, which came back to visit him and regretted showing fear and discomfort. Abdullah was a man who did not have many friends, so he took a lot of passion when it came to live streaming. This activity gave him a way to connect with tons of people, as well as make some pocket money on the side of his real job, so there were no real negatives to doing it. However, one fateful night when he was doing one of his usual streams, where he would discuss life with his viewers, something extremely shocking happened, and you may have a look.
I was live on Instagram and then this happened.
कौन? कौन? الله لا إله إلا هو الكريم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يؤتون بشيء من علمه إلا ما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم من اسمه. कौन हो? कौन? It's around 11. मैं भी Instagram पे भी live आया हुआ था. I was just live on Instagram and कौन? मैं खोल लगा था. मैं नहीं खोलूंगा.
Very late at night, Abdullah's door began to knock, and due to the time this should not have been happening. At first, he jumped to the conclusion that it was a group of drunk people after a party or something along those lines, but it is pretty safe to assume that if that were the case, they would have responded to his words. When Abdullah posted this video online, everybody thought that he was going crazy if he seriously had any belief that this was caused by a spirit. There was no way a ghost would waste its time knocking on a door when it could just stroll through it, right? Well, Abdullah read all of the comments claiming that this was not a ghost and decided to make a second part. Here it is.
So this happened again.
अब्बा अपना नाम बताओ पहले मुझे. अपना नाम. मेरा नाम अब्दुल्ला. अपना नाम बताओ. तुम्हारा अब्दुल्ला मैं हूं, तुम नहीं हो. नहीं खोलना मैंने. ओके, मुझे आयतुल कुर्सी आती है. मैं आयतुल कुर्सी पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर दूंगा. निकल जाओ यहां से. आओ अंदर आओ. आओ आओ अंदर आओ. जो भी हो, मगर मेरी एक बात याद रखना, जहां से भी तुमने जो भी करना तुम.
This time around, things became much freakier and much less deniable, even for the non-believers. Mimics are some of the most frustrating and horrifying poltergeist forms because they can copy anyone's voice, making it really easy for them to lure you into doing something. In this particular scenario, they managed to lure Abdullah into opening his door, which must have allowed them inside of the house. Due to Abdullah being huge on religion and not committing many sins, with the ones he had committed being repented for, it made no sense as to why these spirits chose him to cast their hauntings upon. Unfortunately, we will never truly know whether or not they meant harm, because after causing a small mess, they did not do much. But I advise you to wish Abdullah luck in the comments. Earlier in this video, we looked into the household of a family who sadly lost their dog to an illness, but this next clip is quite the opposite. It took place in the house of Valentina, a widow who divorced her husband years ago and now lives in a small, one-floor bungalow with no one other than her 2 dogs. Now she is very lucky to have a supportive family that comes over and checks on her frequently in case something was to go wrong, and in the following clip, something most definitely went wrong. Valentina was recording a simple video for herself, where she was calling over her 2 dogs when all of a sudden this happened.
Ho preso il telefono in mano perché sono 2 giorni che mi butta in terra i vasetti, soprattutto quello di qua a destra vicino alla zuppiera. E quindi siccome lo stava facendo anche adesso... Ulisse! Ulisse! Vieni, andiamo, dai! Ulisse! Andiamo fuori, via, andiamo! Vieni! Vieni, amore, si va fuori, vieni! Vieni! Vieni qua, vieni! Bravo, amore, bravo! Bravo, Ulisse! Andiamo fuori? Andiamo fuori? Vuoi andare fuori con la mamma? Andiamo? Mettiti qui vicino a me, via. Così. Bravo, Ulisse, così. Guarda, non lo fa più. Russi da sveglio. Russi da sveglio. Amore. Dai, non ci credo, non lo fa più. Andiamo fuori, Ulisse. Eccolo, l'ho fatto. Andiamo fuori? Oddio, c'è poco da ridere, però vabbè, andiamo fuori. Oh mio. Andiamo fuori, vuoi andare fuori? Eh sì? Oh mio Dio, signore. Di solito prendi questi. Questo di solito fa cadere. Vabbè. Visto? Dai, rifacciamolo. Rifammelo, dai. Ulisse. Tranquilli loro oggi, Ma quanto è strano, che non ci si può... Come fai a spiegare queste cose? Non le spieghi più.
An ornament fell from the cabinet below the television, and Valentina, understandably, stood up to go and reclaim it. What made this very weird was the fact that the ornaments never moved, and it was in a highly stable position. Furthermore, there was no shake or anything of the sort which could have incentivized this collapse to happen, so who knows what went on. What we do know, though, is that Valentina uploaded a second video to her TikTok account, showing even more paranormal activity, and this time around it was much harder to deny.
Buongiorno, sono sola a casa. Ulisse dorme, la Clio è sotto il letto. Praticamente da ieri, quando ho fatto il video, ieri sera mi ero accorta che la porta si era aperta. Non so se la cosa è correlata dal fatto che ho aperto... Oh! Ho aperto il baule. Lo so. Perché era già un po' di tempo che... Con questa mano sto tenendo il telefono.
Strangely, the door opened itself not once but twice, and it does not take a genius to know that this had to have been a spirit. Valentina explained that no windows were open during this event, meaning that it could not have been the wind, and paired with the fact the ornament fell from the television just a few days prior to this, things were not looking too good. Valentina let her family know about the incident, and went as far as to show them the video. But unfortunately, there was nothing that any of them could do about it. Feel free to comment some ideas for them. Embalming is a process that is undergone in hospitals, and in case you do not know what this is, let me explain. In simple terms, it describes the process where a human body is preserved using preservatives so that the effects of natural deterioration are slowed. Now, on the surface, the video that shows this process seems to be normal, but see if you can spot or hear the creepy part about it.
El día de hoy estamos transmitiendo un video y vamos a demostrarle cuál es uno de los trabajos más raros, difíciles del mundo, que es un embalsamado. Estamos en el laboratorio de un embalsamado y nos van a explicar cómo es que se hace este trabajo, que es uno de los más raros, más difíciles del mundo. Y no hay muchos que lo hagan. Y estamos aquí con el director de esta casa funeraria. ¿Cuál es su nombre?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Miguel Ángel Contreras, de Contreras Casa Funeral en Guadalajara, Jalisco.
¿Cómo está Miguel Ángel?
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Miguel Ángel, este es uno de los trabajos más raros, extraños y difíciles del mundo, ¿cierto?
Sí, así es. No cualquiera lo hace, no cualquiera sabe el arte de embalsamamiento. Por lo tanto, nos sentimos orgullosos porque somos sabedores de este arte.
Perfecto. Yo nunca había estado en el laboratorio.
Some sort of screaming noise could be heard in the background, and it sounded awfully like the sound of a child. If the case was a kid pleading for help, then who knows if they are okay. But on the other, and more likely, hand, it could have been a poltergeist, specifically belonging to the man being embalmed, expressing its annoyance. Aisha and her cat had been paired together for years leading up to this moment, and their bond was unbreakable. The cat was first with her when she was just 14 because her parents decided to buy the pet. When Aisha grew older, they decided to let her keep it and bring it to her first rented home because she basically did all of the catering anyways. One night, when Aisha and the cat were sitting in the dining room little together, did she know that the pet would not be the highlight of the show here, to her cat collection. Little did she know that the pet would not be the highlight of the show here.
You look so tired. I know. I know you're tired.
Strangely, the chair came out at Aisha, and she was obviously pretty freaked out by this. She had never tampered with any form of paranormal entity or location, so it made zero sense as to why the spirit had chosen her for the haunting. This is one of many questions that will likely never have an answer. Now, despite humans being so out of touch with the paranormal world, there have been several inventions that supposedly allow us to communicate with entities. Some of these methods are very controversial and up for debate as to whether they are legit or not. However, the Ouija board is one that continuously provides things far from the norm. Unlike other methods where clips just show the board changing letters, Ouija boards often contain clips where haunted things happen. That was no different in the next video. It was filmed in the kitchen where some girls were messing about at a sleepover. It is safe to say that they were messing around in places far out of their depths, though. Have a watch.
Okay, nå begynte jeg. Har du begynt? Hva skal vi begynne med? Hva skal vi si først? Hei? Vet du, jeg tør ikke å stå hjemme og sette meg. Jeg skal liksom si god dag eller hei. Julie, skal man si hei først? Nå sa jeg lyst. Ja, jeg tror dere må liksom invitere den da, på en måte. Ja, vi må si hei da, hilse. Ok. Stav hei. Ja. Hei. Det går ikke da. Det var du mye da. Fy faen, ass. Du sa jo at det alltid var kul. Eller? Ta ned på god dagen. Det er ikke vits i det, går ikke. Shit! Kødder du nå? Ok, vet du hva? Nå kan jeg få gå hjem, eller? Du kan ikke gå hjem? Nei, jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Eller det fletsa seg. Ta det bort, sånn selv. Jeg tør ikke å ha det her nå. Det var sykt. Ja, men dere, nå faen, nå er ånden her da. Nå må dere... Ja, velkommen etter av banen. Tenk hvis han kommer og tar meg da. Fy for jeg sitter alene. Faen, og så sitter vi i vinduet også. Hallo, hva skal vi si nå? Jeg fortsetter ikke nå. Jo, kom igjen da. Jeg fortsetter, jeg ikke for kjempegøy. Kan dere følge meg hjem, eller? Det er sant. Ja. Kan du... Hallo. Jeg skulle aldri vært med på dette, vet du. Herregud, det var sykt. Hva faen skal vi ta med? Vi må vite om det er dame eller mann, da. Det kommer seriøst sånne lysglimt foran skjermen, altså. Det dritcreepy. Hallo, ja. Du har aldri vært med på det her før? Eller jeg har vært med på den, liksom ikke sånn. Nå trodde jeg døra åpnet seg. Skal du fortsette nå, synes jeg? Hva skal vi ta med? Det noe med deg! Kom igjen da! Hallo, vi må fortsette. Ok. Vi tar vi oss et tegn da. Skal vi finne sammen? Ok. 1, 2, 3. Gi oss et tegn. Se det! Det dingler. Fy faen. Helvete, hele den driten dingler jo. Vi tar det til da. Sjekka. Gi oss et tegn.
Surprisingly, the Ouija board failed to connect to the spirits, and the girls were all rather disappointed with the turnout. Of course, they didn't expect it to work, but nonetheless, it would have been cool if it did so. What happened instead was simply terrifying. The girl on the far side of the table had her drink slide on its own accord, and everybody there understandably screamed. Perhaps the Ouija board summoned a ghost after all. On June the 6th of 2021, Chris and Julia were both in their bedroom watching television. It was just 10 p.m. and their favorite show had just released a new series, so they needed to get it started before they could get any rest. Little did they know that this watching session would include a massive interruption. The episode was about 30% complete and the couple were loving it. They were so invested that they didn't even bring themselves to have any sort of toilet or food break. They substituted these periods with a ghost break. Julia was way too scared to investigate what caused the bang, so she sent the man of the house, Chris, to take a look. The result of his search was unfortunate because he found nothing except some cans on the floor. After reviewing the camera footage, they knew for a fact that this was an unnatural cause, so got in touch with their local priest. Like this video and comment part 2 for a chance for me to include it in a haunter video sometime in the future. It's not often that a spirit manages to physically affect a person, but in the upcoming video, this one in a billion phenomenon came to life. Meet Taylor, a 30-year-old electrician who takes no interest in either religion or the general paranormal world. He was convinced that nothing could change his mind on these views, and he was more than entitled to that opinion. However, one day something happened which managed to do the trick. It took place in January of 2025, and it is important to note that Taylor had never experienced anything like this before, so it was a new occurrence.
My front camera is smashed, but I'm here at my girlfriend's house by myself. She always says it's haunted because it sounds like somebody is walking around upstairs. I've never heard it until now. I always said it's not haunted because the house is a little old. But it legit sounds like there's somebody upstairs. I will swing on a ghost, or if it's a person, I don't care. Who's up there? Oh my god, they're like at the top of the stairs. Come down these stairs and I will swing on you, I promise.
Unlike most times where the ghost mentally torments a person, this ghost barged past Taylor on the way past Taylor, causing him to collapse. Taylor was adamant that nobody who knew him who had passed would haunt him, so he was extraordinarily baffled by this situation. What makes things even weirder is that he has not experienced anything like it since either. The following video was captured by a man called Mike, and it was not a first-time ghostly experience for him. In fact, Mike has dealt with countless instances involving a ghost because he purchased his house fully aware that it was haunted due to the extremely cheap cost that he refused to turn down. He was in the process of banishing the spirits from it in order to increase the value, working alongside his local church as well as many freelance ghost hunters. Of course, during this process, the hauntings were still going on though, and Mike managed to film this.
Nie wiem, przed chwilą cały czas coś się znowu dzieje. Boże. O Boże. A teraz wiecie, co jest kurwa najgorsze? Że wczoraj, jak tak długo wpatrywał się w tą lampę, postanowiłem, że odłączyłem od prądu. Gdzie jest ten kabel cholerny? Lampa jest odłączona. Patrzcie. No. A tutaj jest właśnie ten mój kolega. Masakra.
Now at first, Mike believed this was an electrical issue, but due to his situation, he decided to show the footage to some ghost experts. They all claimed that this was a spiritual act, and the lamp never flickered again from this point, so it did make a lot of sense. In a recent video on the channel, we took a peek into the life of a mother of 3 who was struggling heavily with paranormal activity. In that video, all sorts of weird events were featured, such as flickering lights, heavy breathing, talking, and other events of the sort. But fortunately, it was made clear that this was a one-time occurrence. Well, at least it was at that point. In between then and now, the family have experienced a lot more, and the next piece of footage showcases a time when all of it was caught on camera again. Watch it for yourself. Instead of doing anything visible with the eye, this time the spirit was rather audible and was trying to torment the mother. It knew that she wanted undeniable proof of its existence on camera, so decided to stay out of sight. It was a smart strategy and a cruel one. The mother could hear heavy breathing no matter where she visited in the house, and at one point even heard a little girl talking. This was a surreal experience, and make sure to subscribe, because if anything else happens to this family, then you will be the first to hear about it. Ghost hunting, a profession only taken up by the bravest of people, or the stupidest of people. It depends how you want to look at it. This profession involves being paid by clients to visit their property and search for entities, and it comes under two tasks. They either search for spirits or eliminate spirits. The man in the video here was attempting to search for one and find proof of its existence for the owner.
Me acaban de golpear, tengo una pared que da allá al patio, allá atrás, la puerta es ahí. Yo ahí tengo la computadora y en la pared me acaban de golpear. Yo no sé si fue algo que cayó, puede haber sido un gato o no sé. Fue bastante pesado el golpe. Siempre hay un montón de gatos por acá, ¿eh? En el barrio. No sé por qué la gente deja los gatos sueltos, digamos. Son gatos de personas, o sea, son gatos de familias. Pero dejan sueltos. ¡Ey, ey, 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 ey! ¿Qué es eso? ¿Lo escucharon? ¿De dónde vino? Uy, me estoy re asustando. No. Ok, si hay algo acá que se retire de mi casa. Puta madre.
As you could see, Fuego, the ghost hunter, clearly found enough evidence of a paranormal entity for his client and cashed out large. With the amount of money Fuego makes, it doesn't look like he's going to quit ghost hunting anytime soon. Tim was a well-known ghost hunter from the United States who posted all of his findings to YouTube. Throughout his years capturing the paranormal, he came across a lot of events, but none were quite as spooky as the one which we are looking at today. It took place in the home of a rather wealthy family who could fortunately afford a ghost hunter to come and help them, and what he found definitely warranted help. Have a watch. Somehow, the bed glided across the floor as if it weighed nothing, and it happened without any sort of intervention. Furthermore, you will have noticed that Tim fell to the floor, and with his experience under his belt, this was very weird. Theorists claim that he was potentially grasping a form of force, and that he did not naturally collapse from fear, but he still refuses to confirm or deny this. However, this incident was not the only haunted thing that occurred during this adventure of Tim's. On top of this, it likely wasn't even the scariest. The video you are about to watch was so frightening that it ended Tim's ghost hunt completely and he was forced to go home. Strangely, the door continuously opened and closed, and it happened for quite some time after Tim ended the recording. It was evident that no strings or anything of the sort were attached to the door, and this was purely the artwork of spirits. Rocky and his girlfriend, who we do not know the name of, lived a happy lifestyle together and were dead set on staying together for life. There was one series of events, however, that made them double question these choices, and they were the presence of paranormal entities in their home. The upcoming clip came from their kitchen, and it is unexplainable, but if you can come up with a logical solution, then feel free to leave a comment.
Faire bouger quelque chose, je sais pas. Taper. C'est de frapper dans une porte. Dans la porte là, si c'est possible.
Le placard s'est ouvert.
Ah ouais, je viens de voir. Ok. Si c'est ta façon de communiquer, d'accord. Est-ce que tu es une femme? Tu veux communiquer avec nous? Est-ce que je... Il y a des bruits.
Il y a eu un bruit derrière toi.
Surveiller là quand même. Est-ce que tu veux que je m'approche? Franchement, je m'approche quand même. Je m'approche, mais si tu peux apparaître. Non, j'ai pas envie de... Calme, calme, on se calme. Ok, je ne veux pas te faire de mal, hein. On veut juste que tu te manifestes, s'il te plaît. On n'a rien à faire là. Pareil, je sais pas. Ok, d'accord.
Pas l'air très agréable ce soir. Hein.
Bref, merci. On va stopper là, on va arrêter.
Ouais.
C'est mieux.
For some sort of mysterious reason, the cupboard started to open and close by itself, and dishes continued to fly out of it. Ghostly activities were not a new thing for Rocky and his loyal girlfriend, because they had started to occur ever since they first got together, but this experience was freaky for them nonetheless. Now, in case you don't believe that this was real, like many of the commenters on YouTube, they actually filmed another piece of footage which was just as bad. It took place in the same household, except this time around things were all over, rather than just in the kitchen. It really encaptivated the severity and scale of the situation, and in order to truly understand what Rocky and his girlfriend were going through, you must give it a watch.
C'est quoi ça? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Qui est là? Ok. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un ici? Est-ce que vous pouvez vous montrer s'il vous plaît? Oula. Manifestez-vous. Parlez-moi.
All around this room, Things were falling and moving, and Rocky even claimed to have felt a wave of cold energy passing through him. It was after the recording of this content that they made the choice to put the house up for sale. They could not put up with the hellhole for any longer. The chances are that you have heard of the back rooms before. Just in case you haven't, they are a confusing and haunting series of rooms designed to frighten the living hell out of people. Now, of course, this place is nothing but fictional and just meant to be interesting for its fan base, but sometimes we come across things close to it. For example, our next clip. It took place in a hospital with a similar design to the rooms, and it definitely gave off similar energy. Fortunately for us, a member of staff at the hospital was able to film the area late at night and expose this to the world. Doors closing, items moving, and an undoubtedly cold feeling were all present that night, and the doctor behind the camera was scared out of his skin. After the event, he begged his boss to call a meeting for all of the staff to gather and watch the clip that he managed to obtain, and they were flabbergasted. They continuously beckoned him to reveal that it was some sort of prank, but he was adamant he caught what he did, and eventually they bought into it. All the workers united and asked for higher pay from the manager due to them putting up with the paranormal activity, and to their pleasure, they were granted it. Bruno and his wife Serea were both at home getting ready to enjoy a nice evening together. It was rare that they managed to get peace and quiet all night because they were the parents of 3 children, but fortunately they were all at a camp with their local scouting group, so Bruno and Serea could enjoy themselves without any responsibilities. Serea was sitting at the dining table flipping her son's toy skateboard, waiting for Bruno to choose a movie to watch. This always took a long time because he was so ridiculously indecisive, but before he could come to a decision, this happened.
Se movió la silla.
¿Leal?
Sí.
De las cores.
Tipo, es de arquiteta.
De las cores.
Serea was clearly freaked out by all of this sudden activity and shouted to Bruno for help. She half expected him to have more of an idea as to what to do next, but he was just as clueless in this situation. We can only hope that they acted sensibly from here, because we have no more intel on the situation. If I could give you one singular piece of advice to take with you into a paranormal situation, it would be to not tell a spirit what to do, because this can cause all sorts of havoc. Just like humans, spirits take being commanded around as some sort of disrespectful and objectifying way to treat someone, so they typically get worse when given orders. The man that captured the following video most certainly did not have this knowledge with him, because he took it upon himself to encourage his haunter to push a can. Have a watch.
Guys, last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard some pounding. I think there might be a ghost in my house. I have a can set up right there. Hang on. Right there's a can. And I'm gonna see if I can get this spirit to knock the can down. So Here goes nothing, I guess. Remember, there's a can sitting right there. If there's a spirit here with me, I've put a can on top of my stand. Can you please knock the can down? Oh my god. What the fuck, guys? Oh my god. I'm fucking shaking. There's the can. It was sitting right there. Like and subscribe for more.
Now the ghost did end up following this order, but based on future updates, the hauntings became much worse after this incident. The man who filmed the video is currently in the process of moving out from the house due to the sheer amount of activity, and who knows what he will do next. Experiencing paranormal activity is definitely rare, but experiencing a sequence of activity is far more impressive. Sometimes ghosts must have way too much anger inside of them because they do multiple things during one haunting sequence. Fortunately, our next victim, called Zachary, managed to capture his haunting sequence in 4K, and it actually took place within the premise of his work. He worked in a factory, and at the time of the incident, he was down in the storage room doing some tasks. Luckily, he was filming a video for his friend to showcase how boring his job was, and if it wasn't for that, then we would not have received this fascinating piece of footage. All sorts of crazy stuff happened down there, and Zachary was utterly mesmerized by what was going on. After ending the recording, he took no hesitation in evacuating the scene and informing his boss of the situation. The boss watched the footage and believed Zachary, but would not be able to do anything about it. Nothing awful has happened in that room since, but the memories still haunt Zachary every time he is forced to venture the area. Kira was an innocent woman who had never wronged anyone in her life, at least not to an extent that would have warranted a haunting. This is why she and everybody who knew her were so confused about her recent stories involving objects moving on their own, voices from right beside her, and tons of electricity problems. The stories were so unbelievable that her eldest son actually ended up booking some therapy for her out of pure worry, which was rather sweet. However, all sweetness was taken away when you realize she was not crazy all along. 2 days before her therapeutic appointment, Kira found motivation to prove she was not going insane because she didn't want her relatives to waste all of their money attempting to diagnose her. This is the context of the video of which I am about to show you, where she is clearly trying to catch the spirit red-handed.
Twice it has moved. I literally thought I heard something then. If there's anybody in here who can move the ornament under the TV stand, can you give it a little push for me? Or can you pull it, or can you pull it back? Just give it a little pull for me if you can just touch it. Oh my god. What the fuck? What?
the fuck? That is like, there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it at all.
After being politely asked to do so, as you should ask a spirit, it decided to move the ornament without causing any damage to it. And inside her head, Kira was having a party. She spoke to her sister and asked how to send the video to everyone, and she got help doing so. The fact that she knew little about technology led to everybody believing the video could not have been edited, and she was believed at last, with the priest coming out to offer her help in the coming months. On June the 25th of 2024, Beto was simply trying to have a shower when everything turned against him. The time was 10 p.m, so a regular time for an evening shower. He had allowed his son to have a shower first because he had school in the morning, and it was finally his turn after waiting, but the relieving shower was clearly not meant to be, because immediately after entering the room, something happened that warranted Beto to take out his phone. It is important to note that no items, or the house itself, have had any paranormal past recorded, and this was a first-time event.
No sé si me muero.
This terrified Beto, but he made sure to film it for long enough so that it was undeniably real. He knew the power of social media, so uploaded it to TikTok, hoping he was going to be the next big thing. Whilst he failed to become the next big thing, he did end up with 12,000 likes, which he was fairly happy about, but was worth a haunting? Probably not. The worst paranormal experiences are always the ones that end up including children, because you know that they will have done nothing worthy of a punishment at a magnitude of a haunting. They can barely grasp the concept of the real world, let alone the concept of the underworld, so you always have to feel bad. Well, in this clip, the family of 3 have a baby included, and an evil spirit refuses to let it get any rest. Take a look.
Vente. Le están tocando.
Sí. La niña empezó a llorar.
Ya no haga mucho ruido para ver quién es. No prendas. ¿Cómo rápido? Está bien inquieta, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Ya son casi las 3 de la mañana. ¿Dónde están las llaves? Hoy. Ahí quédate, espérame. No hay nadie. No hay nadie. No, uy, otra vez. No se ve nadie. será? No es nadie, Ceci. Yo creo que ya nos subimos a dormir. Ya. Vámonos. Vámonos porque igual le voy a enseñar la hora. Siempre pasa lo mismo. Miren. Son casi las 3 de la mañana. 25. Siempre hace lo mismo, ¿verdad? Ya vamos a... voy a cerrar otra vez.
The loud banging really upset the baby, because for one, it will have had sensitive ears, and for two, at a time such as 20 to 3 at night, it should have been fast asleep. What made things strange was that the father, Amro, continued to open the curtains covering the window where the banging was coming from, and whenever he did, it stopped. Now, obviously, the house being haunted was a huge issue for the family. It's hard to skip past the fact that an entity of which nobody can see is taking your place as residents, let alone not letting you sleep. Things became much worse, however, when the father recorded this next clip, where he discovered that his car was also under the same effect.
Hijo de... ¿Viste? Ya, mamá, ya. Por la llave de la troca. ¿Ya vieron? Las 3. Las 3. Las 3. Siempre a la misma hora. Perdón, estoy algo nervioso. Sí, checa aquí. ¡Uy, cabrón! A ver, gente, esta camioneta está descompuesta. La tengo hasta enlonada, o sea, ya sé que no van a querer muchos, pero es lo que hay. Tengo que quitarle todo esto porque, uy, clarito, vi algo allá adentro, ¿eh? Oh, pasó algo volando. La niña está alterada. Lo siento, no podía dejar la camioneta así. Uy, cabrón, me asusta esta cosa, güey. Esta camioneta realmente no sirve. O sea, sí sirve, pero vean, o sea, está desmantelada. Hace mucho frío aquí. Vean, tiene tiempo que no se usa, o sea, está toda polveada. Y vean si gira. Estaba apagada. Y aquí está la llave. Tiene tiempo que no la ocupamos. Ya. Me dice mi esposa, está muy peligrosa esta zona, gente. Yo me voy a meter. Yo sé que muchos me dijeron que no tenía que abrir, pero ya no ve. Tienen que checar el video porque para mí que no que estaba en su lugar. Espérame, voy a amarrar. Me voy a meter, gente. Pues diario voy a documentar. Diario y pues bueno. Ya me voy a dormir.
Despite the car not even being turned on and the windscreen wipers being completely shut off, they started wiping the car, which meant that some form of exterior force was forcing this to happen. Whether this force was a spirit or not, we have no idea, but considering that the knocking happened at the same hour, it makes a lot of sense. But if that still failed to convince you that it was a spirit that this family was being forced to handle, watch this final video.
Johnny, están tocando.
¿Ah?
Están tocando.
¿Quién es?
Nadie.
¿Están tocando?
Sí.
Ah, sí, no manches.
Escucha.
Otra vez, güey. A ver, dame.
Sí.
A ver, aguanta. Espérame aquí, aguántame. Otra vez no. Son las 3 de la mañana, gente. Son casi las 3 de la mañana. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Qué es lo que quieres? Deja de molestar. Quiero que te largues. ¿Qué es eso? Oh, no manches. Oh, no manches. ¡Ceci! ¡Ceci!
This time, a visible apparition could be seen of the spirit, and it looked like some sort of ghostly skull, which is not what you would imagine a ghost to look like. Furthermore, at the end of the video, the father's tears were flattening live without any real reason to do so, which surely would have been a spiritual cause. Roger was a man with a very strong belief in the paranormal world, and he counted himself very lucky to have not experienced it. Despite his beliefs, nobody else that he knew believed in this world though, and deemed him as strange, so he set out to prove himself right. In order to attempt to make a ghost attached to him, he visited graveyards, abandoned buildings and places that you would expect to be haunted, so that one would decide to come with him, and soon enough, one did. Roger heard banging in his basement, so went down to investigate the scene, and this is what he found. First of all, he heard a bang upstairs, which led him to go back into the stairwell, but little did he know that this was a trap. The ghost closed the door behind him and continuously slammed it, and being brave, Roger went into it again, although this time the spirit got physical. It launched something to the ground, showcasing its true powers to Roger, who wished he had never seeked these horrors. The worst part was that everybody thought that he framed the video, even though it clearly was not fake, so he did it all for no reason. One thing about Roger that you must be aware of though, is that he is not a quitter, and so he prevailed with a mission to gather more reliable evidence. The very next day, he sat down in the kitchen with his laptop so that he could do some work, but of course he had a side quest. Besides him was his mobile phone recording him for every minute in hopes that something would happen, and you bet it did.
Hello?
At first, he heard some footsteps, and like any human would, he naturally went to go and investigate what was up. Roger was drawn to the kitchen, which is where the soft footsteps came from, and sure enough, nobody was there. Not only that though, the cabinet also slowly creeped open before spilling some contents onto the floor. And this is when Roger had enough and went on a leisurely stroll around the park. He sent the video to some people, but for a second time, they did not take his word. This filled poor Roger with anger for about a week, and he really could not cope with it. Not being believed when you are telling the truth is an insufferable experience, and this man was unfortunately going through it. However, after roughly a week, Ryger buckled up his strength for one last push, except he had a better plan. He realized that the other two videos he had captured were not authentic, and rather were planned captures. Perhaps if he caught a spirit authentically, then it would be more believable. He stopped all planning and waited for several days until eventually he got his chance and took it.
You guys can hear that or not. I'm just trying to sleep. I literally just dozed off. And it sounds like somebody knocking at my fucking door. Hello?
This time, Roger was in bed, which was completely natural before the incident occurred. Suddenly, he started to hear some mysterious sounds, and then started to film, and the rest is history. Like the other two videos, Roger sent them to his close people and published them to his stories, and at last, he was believed. They all apologized to Roger, who managed to achieve the last laugh, and that is a happy ending to a not-so-happy story. The following video was set up and captured by a famous ghost hunter who goes by the name of Chase. His birth name is Alonzo, but due to his methods of eradicating spirits, he was given this name for when people were trying to contact him. The clip that I am going to expose to you shortly came from one of his operations, where he was exploring an abandoned building that a business hired him to cleanse so that they could purchase the cheap property. He agreed to the task and went in alone. Here is one of the things that he managed to witness.
Está moviendo, amigos. ¿Hay alguien aquí?
Hoy, ¿es el cartón ese, amigos? ¿Estás aquí con nosotros? Se movió el cartón este. ¿Estás aquí con nosotros? Este fue, amigos, este fue. ¿Dónde estás? Hoy. ¿Dónde estás? Hoy. Sí fue esto, amigos, sí fue esto. Ya ves que sí, el cartón. ¿Dónde estás? Dime cómo te llamas. Aquí hay algo, amigos, aquí hay algo. ¿Cómo te llamas? Aquí hay algo, amigos, el cartón este se acaba de mover. Este cartón se acaba de mover. Dime cómo te llamas, queremos verte. Uy. Manifiéstate si estás aquí. Ay, ¿qué fue? No manches, fue la botella, fue la botella. Uy. Alguien está hablando, fue la botella la que se movió. Quería ver si se movió el cartón, amigo, fue la botella la que se movió. ¿Estás aquí conmigo? ¿Estás aquí? ¿Alguien está hablando? ¿Estás aquí? Este cartón se movió primero, amigos. Y la botella que está aquí.
Strangely, a small piece of an unidentifiable material slid across the floor, and this was very spooky. Chase was not taken aback by this though, because he was telling the spirit to do it anyway, so was actually quite pleased that it obeyed. After this, he then asked it to move the same object again, to which the poltergeist was not so willingly obedient. It moved the water bottle in the corner of the room, but at least it was able to move something. After the exploration, the cleansing was successful, and the business now operates within these walls. A woman called Lara and her husband Stephen both own Oculus Quests, and it is a very good method that they use to bond with each other. The array of games that you can play on these devices is massive, so it does make sense why they are entertained by them so easily, but not this time. They were playing a game that required them to take turns with 15-minute sessions each, and Lara wanted to go first, as she had not played the game in quite some time. Stephen allowed her to, and took himself to the kitchen to prepare a nice fruit salad, and Lara started to load the game. It was whilst she was doing this that something peculiar happened though, so take a look. If you could not tell what happened, then let me break it down for you. Lara was loading the game, meaning that she could see the real world through the Oculus, and it turns people around you into shadow figures. Just a note to remember, nobody was around her. For some mysterious reason, there was a shadow figure standing ahead of her, and even after checking the cameras, there was no one in that position. Lara hopes that it was simply the shadows casting it. But it is rare that shadows are precise enough to make a standing human being. It must have been a ghost. Ashley Hall had growing suspicions about a spirit living in her house, but never really had any reason to do anything about it. All that she noticed was the occasional object being in a different location. But for all she knew, her family could have been doing it, so she took zero action. One day, however, the spirit smashed an object in her room, and the weird thing was that nobody was home when it happened. When the family left the house, it was completely intact, and it had magically destroyed itself since. This led to Ashley taking a more serious approach and trying to expose the poltergeist that orchestrated the attack. Was she successful? Well, watch along and answer the question for yourself.
TV show called? The Fairly Good Care. Oh, fucking hell.
Ashley decided that she was going to ask the spirit to do something, and in order to up the stakes, involved some family photos which were fragile. The ghost listened and moved all of them, only dropping one onto the sofa, which cushioned its fall and kept it intact. Perhaps the spirit felt bad about breaking whatever was in her room, and this is why it did not break anything, but who knows? Apparitions are not an easy subject, and is by far the scariest way you can come across a ghost. You can only imagine how spooky it would be though, because I would bet my life savings that you will not see one due to how rare they actually are. The following one took place in a local mosque, where a man was running a session teaching children about Allah and his many values. This spirit, presumably a jinn, had other ideas though.
Aku Herwan sekitaran masjid. Apa no weh? Apa no weh? Weh apa no weh? Weh ni. Sumpah weh. Boleh wah. Bani weh. Apa no weh?
It had an uncanny face, a shadow figure, and a weird posture, which put together gave it a horrifying experience. Furthermore, the way that it was high up and looking down upon the mosque really added to the fear factor and made it hard to not become frightened. The jinn was never caught in the mosque again, and this was a one-time occurrence. The Midwest Ghost Hunter is a man that the regulars on this channel will be very familiar with. With the real name of Ian, this ghost hunter started a YouTube channel under the Midwest title, as all his spiritual expeditions took place in, you guessed it, the Midwest. In the following video, Ian was exploring an abandoned and presumably haunted manor pretty close to his home, and the stuff that he managed to get on film were crazy. Have a watch.
I'm gonna put this device on your wheelchair, okay? I'm just gonna set it right there. If you're in here with me, could you set that device off? Oh wow, there you are. Thank you. Guys, I am getting chills all over my arms. Grace, are you sitting in this wheelchair right now? Before I even finished. Grace, are you able to see me right now? If so, touch the green light. Oh wow, yes. Thank you. This might sound really strange, but I can't see you right now. I don't see you at all, Grace. Are you aware that you've passed on? Oh my god, I just heard a voice. Grace, was that you I just heard? That sent a shiver down my spine. I am hearing her voice. I am hearing her voice in here. It's very faint, but I could definitely hear it. Grace, what do you mean when you say that the devil is after you? Who is the devil? Oh. That was a fucking deep voice. Holy shit. Oh, that was terrifying. Come on, Ian. Get it together.
Ian came across a wheelchair with some glasses on it, and due to his research on the lore of this place, he knew that it was an elderly woman called Grace, the grandma of the family who lived in the manor. He used a device to successfully communicate with her, but when she started to use her voice, followed by the deep voice that claimed to be demonic, he knew that he had to bring things to a halt. After a 5-minute break though, he was back at it, and if you subscribe and watch the next video that I post on this channel, you will see what else he managed to capture. The following video took place in an unknown location, and the lore to it is very suspicious because, well, there is not much of it at all. All we know is that the woman behind the camera felt some form of weird and chilling feeling trickle down her spine, so thought that it would be a smart idea to record, and she was correct because what she captured was disturbing to say the least.
Miren esa camisa anda sola, chicos. Estoy con los pelos de punta. Mira. ¿A ustedes les parece que me puede pasar esto?
The clinical bed slowly rolled its way down the corridor towards the woman filming the incident, and she was very fortunate that it rolled on past her, like she was not there. This would have been much spookier if it had come to a complete standstill or came back towards the camera at the end. Due to the object being a clinical bed, most people theorize that this took place in a hospital of some sort, meaning that the chances of this being a spirit would have been very high. Norwich CT State Hospital was a place that had no previous records of paranormal activity, which is a pretty clean record considering it was a hospital. One day, a guy and some of his friends decided to visit an abandoned section of this hospital late at night to try and prove that this place was in fact haunted, and after the video that they managed to capture it, is safe to say that they got their proof. The video took place at 2 in the morning, and the man filming explained afterwards that he had never felt a fear like that in his life, and furthermore, he could not sleep for days. Take a look.
That's not my phone. That's not my phone. You heard that, right? I don't know. You heard that. Dude, I swear. Dude, I swear to God it wasn't me. Oh my God, look at that.
To start the clip off the group, hear the voice of a female, which meant that it could not have been any of them, since they were all men. This creeped them out, but of course, it could have been one of them playing a silly prank, so they did not consider it to be too much of a threat. However, when the camera panned to an opening in the wall, a lanky white figure peeked into the building before noticing the camera set up and ducking back behind cover. This was a rare capture of an apparition, and a frightening one to say the least. This next video is going to have one big question that I am going to allow you guys to be the one to solve. Was the man in it crazy, or was he seriously experiencing something caused by entities from the underworld? It was very late at night, and the security guard, Matt, was on duty making sure to only allow legitimate patients into the clinic. They only accepted booked appointments at this time of night, so it was crucial that he did his job correctly, and in his mind, he did. However, the cameras said otherwise. In his mind, Matt was accepting a poor patient into the hospital who needed a wheelchair to enter. But in reality, he was really the victim of a poltergeist. As you can see, Matt believed that he was doing his job, but one glance at the camera told everybody that this was not the case. Matt must have witnessed a spirit which took the form of a human and was unfortunately invisible to a camera. When Matt was made aware of this, he stayed adamant that he was doing his job, but after seeing the CCTV footage, even he double-questioned himself. This remains one of the more unsolvable mysteries on this channel, but be sure to leave a verdict in the comments as to whether Matt was genuinely going insane or if this seemed to have a spiritual cause behind it. Most spirits will at least try to keep their acts subtle and leave a bit of mystery behind them, but the poltergeist in the following video did the exact opposite. It must have been on a mission to make itself as noticeable as possible, because if anybody in the room missed it, then they would seriously have to be checked for blindness. It took place in a nurse's clinic, and at the time she had no patients with her, so she was just enjoying her little break on her phone. The spirit present clearly didn't like the idea of her having any fun though, and decided to do this. All the ceiling tiles moved almost in unison, and the nurse made sure to take out her phone to capture what was going on. To her surprise, the spirit did not stop when she started filming it and supposedly started moving the tiles at an even faster rate, which was a very peculiar phenomenon indeed. Clocks can be annoying sometimes. From getting themselves stuck to being a few minutes off the actual time, people constantly have to readjust them if they want their clocks to be perfect. Many would think that this was a problem only humans have to endure though, and that would make sense considering we invented them. However, little does anyone know that spirits are supposedly just as time-conscious as we are, as shown by this clip that I am about to reveal to you. A clock in a hospital had been broken for weeks now, and due to all of the staff owning mobile devices, none of them could really be bothered fixing it. Fortunately though, a poltergeist decided to give them a favor and do the task for them. the clock began to spin around its axis at an unnatural pace, so the staff member on scene naturally started filming it. The part that made this clip surreal was the fact that the clock reached a standstill at the exact right time, meaning that something must have been behind this, and it could not have been a shock coincidence. After the recording ended, the nurse decided to thank the spirit, and nothing happened in return. Who knows what the spirit's motive was here, but at least it was offering a helping hand, rather than intentionally causing fear. Unlike the rest of the clips in this video, our next clip was not captured by a staff member at a hospital, but a patient instead, and I am sure they will remember this experience for the rest of their life. The patient's name was Alex, and he had come to the hospital because he had broken a bone whilst at boxing, which would be detrimental to his progress in the sport, so it kind of sucked, to be honest. The ghost that took it upon itself to haunt Alex at this low had no filter though, because almost immediately after he took a seat, the video that you are about to see took place.
No hay nadie.
Somehow, the chair constantly moved in small bursts, and Alex was left speechless with the only option he had being recording the incident. After ending the recording, he went to the hospital's help desk and showed them the video as evidence of his story being real. But both of the receptionists told him not to mess around in a hospital and that they had more important matters on their hands. Were they in the wrong for saying this? Let me know in the comments. On August the 22nd of 2022, a mysterious video would be uploaded to TikTok that would spook all of the innocent viewers who stumbled across it. Like the rest of the short clips that I have featured in today's video, it took place in a hospital, except this time it was out at the back. The man filming the video was not a patient, but just a bystander who found this location relaxing and visited often. This time he had brought his pet dog with him for extra comfort and protection. Little did he know that the only disturbance that came his way would not be interceptable by his dog though, and especially not by him. Out of the blue, a wheelchair started to roll around as if it had somebody in it, which obviously it did not. The reason behind the wheelchair rolling like this is unknown, but most people suspect that an elderly person must have passed away in the hospital and found the wheelchair to make their way back home. Of course, this is just a theory though, and we do not know this for certain. Being a police officer is undoubtedly one of, if not the most dangerous job in the world. It involves hunting down criminals with the capability of causing mass harm to you, which is why we see these officers as the heroes that they are. Now, of course, they are highly trained in this field and are drilled on how to react to all sorts of threats, but in the following video, they came across a threat that no amount of training could save them from. This threat was something that people rarely experience, but these brave officers were unfortunate enough to come across, and it even caused one of them to quit their job. When they all saw the supposed door opening and closing, they immediately used their brains and went towards it. The likelihood was that this was the location of the criminal that they were closing in on, and despite it probably being a trap, they at least had to confirm his location. However, when they reached the area, they found out that the door was to a compartment that nobody could have fit inside, and no one was in the area. In complete and utter confusion, they looked around the area, hoping to find someone, but that never happened. The following video was captured by a worker at her local trauma center called Dany Renee. Her colleagues loved her for the fun and energetic vibe she brought to the workplace, and she was also amazing at treating the people who were admitted to her. One day, a patient expired in her clinic, so the room was cleaned, reset, and prepared for the next patient of the day. Furthermore, all of the wires were disconnected in the room, meaning that what you are about to see should not have happened.
That is crazy. Very.
The pattern on the reader was very realistic, as if a patient was actually hooked up to the system, but of course, as nobody was on the clinical bed, no one was connected. Dany called down the information technology support team to come and help her solve what could have solved this mess, but they found no issues with the machine, meaning that it was genuinely reading what it was showcasing. This was a highly confusing event, because why on earth would a spirit choose to do something like this? Perhaps just to scare Dany, but it was very disturbing nonetheless. Young men will do all sorts of dangerous things to entertain themselves, and that is why you see videos on social media explaining why women live longer than men. The group of men in the final clip of this video were exploring an abandoned hospital in the dead of the night when they all saw something horrifying. They went into this hospital expecting the bare minimum to happen. Potentially, a few noises could occur, or maybe some weird shadow castings, but no amount of preparation could have gotten them ready for what they really had to go through. Have a close watch.
Multilemni.
Some sort of spirit was down there with them, and you could see its white figure across the tunnel. Many speculators believed that it was simply a weird casting of light that caused this figure, but based on the fear of the men, I highly doubt that this was the case. They all reported feeling lightheaded and ill afterwards, which just further leads me to believe that this was far more than a weird casting and something that needed to be taken seriously. The following video was uploaded to YouTube roughly 7 years ago by a young boy living with his parents like all children do. This meant that he did not make his own rules and unfortunately had a curfew at 10 p.m. and abided by it. It was one night at exactly 10 p.m. that some strange stuff began to happen though. Before I show you the clip, there is a bit of backstory behind it. The doll was a purchase of the boy from a local garage sale, and there was not much left once he arrived. He wasn't interested in anything at the sale initially, but he felt sorry for the woman hosting the sale, who was clearly in a poorer position, so bought the doll for a cheap price. This turned out to be the worst decision of the boy's life. Have a watch.
Alright, YouTube. I was just sitting down, getting ready to go to bed, and the fucking music box up there just starts playing. Sorry, I'm a little sick. I was trying to rest, but, you know, after putting this fucking doll back on the shelf, that hand decided to fucking move, and I put that there just to, you know, maybe these two things talk to each other. But no, the old lady that this belonged to, it belonged to her, actually belonged to her mother. And she said that she calls it squeaky because at night you could hear the doll squeak, which I did hear it squeak. Holy shit. Holy f***ing shit. Holy f***ing shit. Did you guys see that? My f***ing hands are shaking. Sorry. Let me switch the other hand. Holy f***ing shit. The f***ing hand just f***ing moved. This thing at night squeaks, and when I put it inside that f***ing chest, so I thought, you know, maybe I'll give it a second chance and, you know, put it back on the shelf. But clearly the thing wants to start the music box back up. Because, you know, that's a great idea, you know, just to stick it back on a shelf next to a creepy box and stick it next to a doll head. So, you know, that's a good job for me. I'm actually probably going to lock this thing back up. Its hand fucking moved out more, dude. Screw that shit. You could stay up on the shelf because you're not gonna fucking turn on a music box like this motherfucker in my fucking hand did. I'm getting the key to open up this chest because fuck that shit. You squeaky, you could stay inside this chest. I don't want to hear you squeak. I don't want to hear you making noise.
The first red flag was that the owner used to call it squeaky because it tended to make squeaking sounds, and the fact that the boy knew this information before purchasing the doll makes him really silly and accountable for his situation. Whilst he was going to bed, the music box besides the doll started to play, and this of course prevented him from getting any rest, so he stood up to film the incident. As he was recording, the hand of the doll moved on camera, which was highly shocking and caught both him and us off guard. Finally, the head fell from the top of the cabinet, which was not having any visible force act on it, making this whole series of events odd. After the recording ended, the dolls were all locked in some chest-looking drawer, before we never received any other updates. We should be hoping that the person who experienced all of that is now safe and sound. Nothing beats the feeling of coming home from a long day of work to kick back and get on your gaming console with the boys. Whether it be a PlayStation or an Xbox, this is a feeling that many people across the world can relate to, including the man in our next clip. He was working a really late shift and could not wait until he was allowed to go home and play on his PlayStation 5. His job was in a fast food chain, so it was very unenjoyable, and the moment he arrived home, he pushed the power button. Strangely though, after doing this, he felt some sort of cold air brush past him, and from that point forwards, he felt really unsafe. Out of panic, he took out his phone and opened the camera app before hitting record, and you are about to see what he was able to capture.
There to go. And I come back and something is say something, I'm giving up on you. But anywhere I would have followed you. That's my kid, dude. Don't. You're not fucking serious. You're not fucking serious. I mean, it's nothing. Actually, how the fuck am I gonna get that back up? Goddamn. Jesus Christ.
For some reason, as soon as he started to record his surroundings, in case something bad happened to him, something horrible occurred. One of the pictures on his wall began to move without any human interaction, and this was not just any picture, it was one of his children. The fact that the spirit chose to tamper with that image must have had some sort of deeper meaning behind it, and the man couldn't help but think that they were in danger. He called his mother, who was looking after them due to his late shift, but no response came back. The chances are that she was just asleep and everything was okay, but due to a lack of future updates, we have no idea whether anything bad happened. On June the 9th of 2024, an unexplainable video was uploaded to TikTok that would disturb thousands of viewers. It took place in an Asian household where a man who was given the feminine nickname Fran lived alone. There were many perks to living alone, such as peace and quiet at will, but also many negatives, with no aid in emergencies being one of the main ones. I am not sure whether the video that you are about to watch would be considered as an emergency, but it was definitely enough to put poor Fran into a state of fear. The time was 12:23 p.m. and it had just turned afternoon when a seemingly normal day turned into one that nobody could even dream of.
Ya estás intentando molestar, ¿no? Te puedes manifestar, si quieres. No te tengo ningún miedo. Sí, ya sé que estás ahí. Manifiéstate. Cojones. Manifiéstate. ¿Dónde estás? La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. Me cubro con la sangre de Cristo. Vale, que sepas que no te tengo ningún miedo. Vale. Vale. Me cubro con la sangre de Cristo. Esto tiene el poder. Ven, este es mi día a día, señores. En mi casa, esto es lo que pasa. Pero ya cada vez tengo menos miedo, así que me come todo el cipote lo que hay aquí. Esta es mi casa.
Just as you would expect the chair to stop moving, it continued, and this was an unexplainable phenomenon. It was clear that no one or nothing was applying any force to the chair, so the force must have been an invisible one, and we all know what that means on this channel. Fran was experiencing a haunting, and if he doesn't do anything about it, he will likely have to go through this for much longer. Ghost hunting is an extremely dangerous job that comes with many risks, but with high risk comes high reward. The job pays a lot of money, which is why we see so many people partaking. But at the end of it all, is it really worth it? Meet the Midwest ghost hunter, an experienced and high-end hunter who every client would dream of having. The following series of clips comes from one of his hunts in a house known as the Boyd House, which is undoubtedly haunted. Have a watch.
Hello? Is anybody here? I don't know if you remember me, but I visited here before. Not too long ago. If you remember me, could you give me a sign? Minnie or Fred Eckhart? Are you here? I'm in your lovely home. Are you okay with me visiting? If you can hear me, could you make a sound somewhere in this house? It's It's awfully quiet in here to start. I'm not really feeling any. What the hell was that? Hello? Oh my god, that sounded like a woman's voice. I heard it through the headphones. It sounded like it was coming from in there. Minnie, was that you? Could you speak again?
The Midwest ghost hunter was purposefully attempting to get some form of reaction from the spirits who haunted this house, and due to his expertise, he managed to get one. After asking any entities in the building to make a noise, there was silence for a brief moment before the voice of a woman echoed down his headphones. The woman behind this voice was more than likely the one who passed away in the home and made it haunted in the first place. Just to be certain, though, the ghost hunter needed to continue this exploration.
If there's anyone in here, could you show yourself to me? Minnie, are you still in here? Could you appear by that radio that you turned on earlier? Weird. I got like an orb like right next to it. Gone. That was interesting. Could you appear by the radio? Damn, I still can't get over that from earlier. That radio turning on. That was so insane. Is there anybody upstairs? Oh, I thought I heard a creak up there. Hello? Whoa, what the fuck? Dude, I just saw a fucking shadow. Holy shit. It was right up here. Hello? There was somebody standing like right there. Who's up here? I just saw somebody here. There was literally a dark mass standing at the top of these steps. I saw it in the flash of the camera. I'm gonna look and see if I can find it. Oh my god, what the fuck is that? Dude, it's right there. It's like a shadow. I caught that in the photo.
I managed to capture this photo of a dark humanoid mass standing at the top of the staircase. Notice how the figure is transparent and possesses non-physical qualities. Was this the spirit of Fred Eckhart staring me down from above?
Besides claiming that the radio managed to turn itself on, this video had undeniable proof that someone or something was in the house alongside the man. Whilst he was taking photos of almost everything he could, he caught a human outline in shadow form at the top of the stairs and decided to check the camera gallery to be sure that he was not hallucinating or anything of the sort. That shadow was in fact real and enough to instill fear into anybody. If it was able to frighten the Midwest ghost hunter, it would have frightened you for sure. Emily and her dog Rosie were both home alone, waiting for the man of the house to arrive, when a very peculiar event happened. The time was 10 p.m., and this was usually an uneventful period for Emily, who had normally finished her work for the day and spent the time relaxing. This time around, things would be far different though, and it would all be centered around her little dog, Rosie. They were both listening to music and doing nothing at all when this disturbing video was captured on camera.
What the f***?
Some sort of shadow reached out for the dog, and if you look closely enough, it seemed to be the paw of a cat. The annoying thing about paranormal events like this, though, is that you can never be too sure that it actually was a ghost. So Emily and her family could not seek assistance due to a lack of liable proof. But if something else happens in their household, I will include it in one of my videos, so subscribe. The following video was another ghost hunting expedition which was carried out by 2 British men this time around. They were visiting a house without much research behind it, and the only link to the paranormal was a note that the old owners left claiming that it was haunted, but it was definitely worth a shot for some content. The duo set up some cameras all across the household to be sure that they did not miss anything, and this plan definitely worked because once they left a room, this happened.
We need to just get on with an investigation. Should we get some equipment?
Yeah.
I'm going to stand in here, just in case.
Yeah, good idea.
Shall I leave my camera in here for a bit? No. Did you not hear that then? That was in there again, the camera's in there. No. Did you not hear that then? That was in there again, the camera's in there. I don't know why I said no, like...
Okay.
Like you're a dog or something. Oh, just stop. Stop. Hello? There's someone walking towards me. I swear to God.
What the fuck?
Just stop. Seriously. I don't know if I can just hear like the remnants of of me walking through now, but
yeah,
almost clear as day. Like not even heavy. I'm gonna leave my cat. What? Let's get. Jesus Christ! I feel mental, than you.
Do you know what? It's gone so mental that I don't even feel like we've got the right equipment to pick this up. What do I use?
I don't know. Should we rethink?
The man wearing a cap heard something drop to the floor from the other room, and fortunately, the camera also picked up this sound. He decided to double back and investigate what could have caused the sound, and he swore that some footsteps were heading in his direction. The camera did not manage to pick up these steps, but based on the reaction from the man, it is safe to say the story is believable. Brian was a man from Belgium who, before all of the following drama, had no belief or faith towards paranormal activity actually being real. However, like most victims end up doing, he quickly changed his mind. Over the last few days, he has constantly been noticing his window opening and closing by itself, which has reasonably put him on edge. One day, he decided to see if he could capture the phenomenon live, and whilst he failed to do so, he caught something new happening.
There are some weird noises coming from my window. The last few days my window's open by itself. I don't know what's the problem, so... Oh my god. My god. Oh my god, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh shit.
One of the books from the bookshelf slowly moved itself off the shelf until it eventually collapsed to the ground in an almighty thump. Brian was fortunate enough to have caught this on camera, or else nobody would have taken his word for it. I will be surprised if he does not begin the ghost hunting process within a week.